temperance, it's about prudence, and it's about justice. Not about who can spin the best story for votes. It models accountability, reminds MPs of their moral responsibilities, and strengthens the public's trust in governance. So, is it a political calculation? Perhaps coincidentally, but it is leadership. Unequivocally, it is leadership. The lesson here is simple. Democracy needs integrity, not just performance. And when the Prime Minister leads with principle, and the focus should be on that, not cynical speculation, Mrs. Jackson Miller. And as a journalist, that's what you should have done. Look at the principle of it, not the cynicism. I have a couple more things to talk to you about before I open the line. All right, so let's turn our attention to the war involving Iran. And the questions many Jamaicans are asking is, what does this mean for us? What does it mean for us? At first glance, Jamaica is thousands of miles away from the conflict zone. We are not militarily involved. We are not geographically exposed. But in a globalized world, distance does not equal insulation. The first and most immediate implication is energy prices. Iran sits near the Straits of Hormuz, one of the most critical oil transit routes in the world. And when conflict threatens that corridor, global oil markets react instantly. And because Jamaica is a net importer of fuel, any sustained spike in oil prices translates directly into higher gasoline costs, higher electricity bills, increased transportation expenses, and ultimately upward pressure on food prices. In short, a missile fired in the Middle East can echo at the pumps in Kingston. Understand that. Secondly, there is the issue of global economic uncertainty. War unsettles markets. Investors retreat to safer assets. Airline reroutes or reroutes. Shipping costs rise. Tourism-dependent economy like ours feel those tremors indirectly. Even if visitors still come, higher airfare and global financial anxiety can soften travel demands. Thirdly, there are diplomatic implications. Jamaica is part of the international community. Through bodies like CARICOM and the United Nations, our governments may be called upon to articulate positions on ceasefire, international law, and regional stability. Small states like ours must constantly balance principle with pragmatism, maintaining strong relationship with global powers while affirming sovereignty and respect for international norms. But beyond economic diplomacy lies a philosophical truth. Modern sovereignty operates within interdependence. No nation today is an island unto itself, not even an island. The war in Iran reminds us that global systems, energy, finance, trade, security are deeply intertwined. Our challenges are small, state is resilience, diversifying our energy sources, strengthening fiscal buffers, and maintaining diplomatic balance so that external shocks do not destabilize internal progress. So while this is not our war, it exists in our world. And in that world, leadership is tested not only by domestic policy, but by how wisely it navigates distant storms that carry very real consequences. I heard a piece of absurdity. Today we had a hurricane, an earthquake. And there were some people suggesting that it is caused by the oil exploration. Imagine that. We had a hurricane, a major 4.7. And some people were suggesting that because Jamaica is exploring for oil. If it wasn't so funny, it is absurd. You know, in moments of uncertainty, moderator, you can open the lines. And soon see how Andrew calls it. In moments of uncertainty, fear often travels faster than fact. Boy, Jamaica is not an easy place.
He did for him the day before. I believe
you know, the recent earthquake and the ongoing oil exploration have collided in the public's imagination. Comrades, I bet you not one Labour right now say that. The people are saying the earthquake is caused by the oil exploration. Wow! Amazing. And you know, some political operatives are now suggesting that there's a link between the two. It is important, calmly and rationally, to separate geology from rhetoric. But this is going to take me an hour, and I don't have that such amount of time. Why would I spend half hour explaining how hurricanes are caused and why this is just utter rubbish? Firstly, good evening, sir. Good evening, caller. Hello. Good evening, sir. Hello, sir. Open your microphone. Good evening. Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. What is wrong with this man? Come up here and... Good evening, sir. Oh, brother, if you don't want to talk to me. Hey, Chromas, ready for you. Go right ahead.
Before I go any further, happy anniversary, 1 year anniversary. Bless up yourself, very good program. I hope you continue. Yes. Love your program. Yeah, man, positive. I had a star on TikTok, you know.
Is that so?
The top live, you know. Yes, man, number one. My book, you know. Yeah, man. Happy anniversary, man. Caroline, big up yourself. Good moderator. Now what you naysayers them, some people say jealousy is a big thing out there, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, man. That's that. Yeah, jealousy, man. I watch nothing, Caroline. That's why it go. Jealousy is it. You see it. They want your spot, but they're not gonna get your spot. That's that.
They want our spot?
Yes. Yeah, man, I want the spot back, but they can't get it back, you know. That is it. My opinion still. Yeah.
What's on your mind, sir?
Man, so I don't know what the topic is going to be or what they really going to talk about over the Iran something or whatever. But there, listen for the time being.
No, man, your time. Go ahead.
All right. So, I don't know overall about the Prime Minister not getting it down, taking the race now. That is a good move. Can't follow the Ian Jackson, lad. They know them political already. She carry belly, because through them she get what I promise from Mark Golding, press secretary position and them something that never work out.
Those are allegations,
yeah. You tell me, I believe it. I believe some promise. He's a man love going to make promises to people before election. That is my goal. Then that what me. My reason for say that. Cause actions speak louder than words.
Yes.
You see me? Yeah. So it's something like that. So there are political lineage to the PNP. You don't know DBJ overall, RJ group and Gleaner. They support the PNP. So that was, politics and them bad mind. Yeah. And them urge them in our power. Yeah, so that's one of the things they and Jackson Miller. Yeah, man. For the rest of ourselves,
But can you imagine, sir, that the Prime Minister, after delaying his salary for 2 years, we are now being told that he did it because he wanted to win election. That's not
a typical PNP mentality, man. They're not going to see the good part. They're not going to say it's principle and etiquette, or he put the country first and sees like that decision to know why you see what the country I go through or whatever I do. You see me? Because somebody don't understand the neighbor. They believe says the Prime Minister give himself reason. They never know they go through a committee or something, whatever, And nobody does the government get up and say give themselves reason, You see me? Whatever. That thing is a process that go on for a good little while. And like it just is a come true at this time. And the Prime Minister know him not gonna take fee money. Just through what is that going on in the country and whatever. Even when she mentioned a fair little speech, but the civil servants them and whatever, the wages negotiation and everything like that go on. And look through upon them thing there and whatever, and say, boy, nah, take it. Mark will everybody else take it. On the both sides, that's what you said earlier on. Take it. And it was the shapers
of public opinion in Jamaica, sir, are woeful,
Yes.
They are woeful, sir. And that is part of what is wrong with the country. That those people who are out there shaping opinion, they are not being reasonable at all, sir.
Yeah, because if his opinion is truth and facts. Opinion just opinion, personal opinions. You see me? They can say, no matter what the Prime Minister turn, the haters are going to ask, which part of them turn, Maka go keep. So them typically are going to say, so you can't do nothing to please them, neighbor, no matter what.
Yeah,
you see me? So they're going to find every way for trying to see there? Little thing when go sit down the CARICOM thing that was recently, they want to make a big deal out of it. I don't want to say anything wrong.
Yes.
You see me? You want to put everything in context and the man diplomatically deal with it on a level. So, and people make it seems like him say something wrong and I make a big thing out of it.
Yeah, sir, leadership is about standing up at some time ethically, sir. It's not about politics only, Mr. Holness is not only a politician, sir. He's a leader.
Yes, but I don't understand, neighbor. When you're in a government and a prime minister role, the politics supposed to stop. It's all about leadership for the country. Because you're a prime minister for everybody. No matter who want vote for him, yes or no, you are representing Jamaica. Them not understand that. Those people don't realize that the politics, we're not doing it in Jamaica, the politics must stop when the election done. As anybody from the government, everybody's supposed to support the government and the prime minister. You have to agree with everything when say, I rubber stamp everything when say, or whatever. But when it comes to internationally, and when I represent Jamaica, people are supposed to be behind them. They don't understand the logics there. It comes like we're not mature enough as Jamaican to understand that the politics supposed to stop.
Yeah.
You see, at the party level, that is a different thing. This is the politics is supposed to go.
Yeah, that is absolutely. When you win the election, sir, you have to lead the whole country.
Yes. So if you vote for me, say he's the prime minister of Jamaica, not the prime minister for Labour Party. Labour Party supporters for everybody, Jamaica, nationally. They understand that there's a former illiteracy and don't see the society when them think that way. They don't understand.
Yeah,
you see
you're right, man. You're right. Quite true, Quite true. There is a big difference between politics and leadership. Politics with leadership. Sorry,
that's what I would explain to people. That when the prime minister and the prime minister role, you cannot do certain things and political and them things there. You cannot do that as government. That's why I always tell them, say, government in Jamaica don't win election, the party do win elections. The politics with the government not in a work.
That's true, sir.
It don't work. You see me? It don't work. You see me? So don't understand, there are two vehicles carried to government, PMP and JLP. They are two private entities. You see me? Two private entities. You only want to know, say, what, in time, one might farm the government, and when they farm the government, the politics must stop, and we're supposed to support who is the prime minister.
Quite frankly, sir, there comes a time when we have to stop the campaigning and start governing.
Yes. People don't understand that in Jamaica. Overall.
Their election cycle, sir. No, it's not an election cycle. They got the electioneering.
No, but I have to be different between the two parties. We are talking about the party, with the party overall, the two parties now. That is one always campaign, when not out of season, them still campaigning. And that is the PMP. Them don't understand that the politics done when election done, them don't understand that. But as well, me, I say now, I can mention, say, even at the party level, you sometimes have a finish, but sometimes the Labour Party overall, and the party side kind of gone asleep. They made the PAP get away with the politics on the ground with the party, when I come on to party levels.
I think they have significantly improved, you know, sir.
Yes, you have to forgive them that them improve.
I think they have significantly improved.
But there must space for more improvement still.
Well, you know, in all things in life.
Yes, it will take time. Yes, that take time. Yeah, man, that is it. Yes, neighbor. So, you know, is that this right there, you know?
Yeah, man. Okay, sir?
Yeah, man. All right. Bless up. Happy anniversary again. Good job. Number one live on TikTok right now, politically. Bless up.
Into this.
His conscience couldn't help him back high interest rate. Government is obligated and hand it to the government. Used for productive, the money in the country, which should be used for productive things, them just take it and hand it to the government. And then the government is obligated to pay them back high interest rate. So terrible it was that one of their own members, a man of the cloth, a religious man, his conscience couldn't help him. He had to speak the truth. And he said that what PMPism did was the greatest transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich in this country. Now tell me, which rich man, which Tapanaris man was the recipient, the beneficiary of the greatest transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich in this country? You tell me. That is what distinguishes us. And so you have to understand that as post in the...
Well, the Prime Minister is making some suggestions there. What is the Prime Minister saying? That a Tapanaris man benefited from the greatest transfer of wealth? You heard the Prime Minister there? That a Tapanaris man. Which Tapanaris man, he asked? How much Tapanaris men are in Jamaica? Okay. Where did that term originate from? Yes. A Tapanaris man benefited from the greatest transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich. You know, in the theater of politics, memory is often selective, you know. And morality is situational. You know, fascinating stuff. Good evening to you, Harry. Hello.
Neighbor. You know everybody.
How are you, sir?
Not too bad, you know. Happy anniversary.
Yes, sir. Well. Harry, which Tapanaris man is the Prime Minister referring there to that benefited from the greatest transfer? Who is he talking about?
Neighbor, the current opposition leader who also made the statement of him and him Tapanaris friend them will run the country.
Yes. Hold on this.
Because he's the only person who has ever in the political arena publicly come out and make a statement like that. So boldly in front of the faces of Jamaicans.
Well, let's get back to that. Harry, Mrs. John Jackson is suggesting that the Prime Minister's decision to not accept his salary was because of an impending election. Am I correct, sir, that there was no election impending in 2023?
There was none in 2023, neighbor, and unless it was election that the People's National Party thought they wanted to see early, because of course we know by now Deon Jackson is currently an operative for the People's National Party, and it's not a hidden agenda anymore.
But what does an impending election mean?
One that is imminent and shortcoming.
Yes, within a calendar year. In other words,
right.
If the election is impending, it's going to happen in 2023.
And we were 2 years out of.
And we're 2 years out. So how can an election be impending when we are 2 years old?
It's a use of buzzwords in a neighbor, right? Anything to catch the ears of the people, because the average man won't look and see that, it was 2 years later. They're just looking at that the current statement at face value, right? But for people who are thinkers and can see the blatant lies and a narrative shaping out, neighbor, because we started speaking about it. This is also a sound bite, right?
Yeah.
Something to kind of get some form of evoke some form of emotions again, which we know the People's National Party is very good at playing and plucking at the strings of the people's emotions thoroughly, neighbor.
Yeah, is it not true though, Harry, that whilst politics may be opportunistic, leadership is about ethical stewardship, and the Prime Minister is not only a politician? Is he not a leader first here as Prime Minister?
Neighbor, the moment you are elected the Prime Minister of a country, or the President, or the Premier, whichever terminologies you want to use throughout, you have now transferred the position from politics and being a politician to now being a leader, because now you have to showcase how you're going to not just bring forth those who voted for you, but also those who didn't.
The entire country. So wholeness the politician is not wholeness the Prime Minister. Can we make that distinction?
With these, neighbor. With these, and in leadership, you have to wear many caps as well, because remember, he's not just the leader of Jamaica, he's also part of the CARICOM, and he's then now as a politician the head of the Jamaica Labour Party, so he's a man that wears many hats.
Yeah, but I want to make the point for our listeners, because I think they need to understand that politics in its shallowest form is opportunistic. So you give that to politicians. They are always looking for votes. But leadership, Harry, is about ethical stewardship. It's about acting regardless of the benefit of personal or partisan gain. And I think that is the background by which the Prime Minister made the decision not to accept the salary increase. That is ethical leadership on display. Am I not correct?
You are, neighbor, 100%. Right? Because when you look at it, he understood from two perspectives. One, from the opposition eyes, where, looking at it, of course, it's going to be a big increase. But also looking at, as a leader now, looking at how the Jamaican people will perceive it, and then how he can better be able to ensure that the people understand what's happening, why the increase is there, and morally and ethically, he rejected it in the interim. Right then and there, he knew that he couldn't have taken that step to accept it because of what would happen. Right? So it's not something that is based on, as Miss Jackson Miller says, an impending election. There was no such thing. Right? It was a decision made on the moral compass and the ethical compass of the society that he will now govern and leads.
Yeah, but even if there was an impending election, Harry, which there was none, you expect a Prime Minister to lead ethically and not partisanly, no, sir?
That is it, yeah.
Right. You expect leadership. Do we have a caller? Good evening, sir. Hi. Hello. Good evening. Caller? No. Okay. All right. No. The other point to be made, Harry, as we kind of jump off this is it not amazing that a man who does something in the interest of his country in this regard receives criticism, and a man who accepts it receives none? How is that fair?
Well, that is it in a neighbor. In Jamaica, because I always say Jamaica political arena is very unique, right? Because of what has been set up over decades. So it was carefully carved by the opposition in their longest reign. And as such, it's strategic. It has developed a cultural acceptance across the society that both parties are never ever judged with the same beating stick, pretty much, right? So it's not a level playing field at all. So for example, if the Jamaica Labour Party is in power and they're doing well, it is not enough. So you're going to have to judge them brutally. But if the People's National Party is there and doing little to no work, you try to find things to let them seem like they're doing something good. And when the current opposition now is doing nonsense, hurting Jamaican people, they then find a way to spin it, right? And the moment the Jamaica Labour Party does something else now, they try to find the negative in it. So I say all of that to say this: it is not a level playing field when it comes on to judging both political parties, specifically in Jamaica, because in the rest of the world you have a more balanced approach societally and culturally, but in Jamaica it just is not that yet. Maybe
are we beyond these type of analytical approaches, or is it that our politics is so marred that everything a leader does, we have to look at the political approach? Is this where the country is, or is just a journalist spinning?
Well, it can be both, neighbor, right? Because as I said before, it is engraved in the culture over a few decades now. So it is what people, it's a lens that people look through because that was what they were taught, right? And it was repeated heavily because, of course, human beings will learn through repetition. And if it's constantly said years and years and decades upon decades, then you buy into it, right? And as such, people are trained to see through those lenses. Is the curtain being pulled back? No, yes, slowly but surely. But we still have those people who cannot look beyond the taught lenses that marred and murky the waters for decades. Now, of course, the other side to it is, of course, there's a narrative being spun by an individual or an organization headed by several individuals. So both is true. Now, the part of it is that we have to now call out, for one, that individual, because we know how that person gives compliment. It's like a backhand compliment that she gives, if any at all, right? And she has an agenda. She's affiliated with one such political party, which never ever wants to see a good being done. They have to try and find something to add on or something to insinuate that drives the people to look at it in a negative light. We saw the crime situation, right? And how she doubled down on that. So it is a bit of both, right? So I can't single it out to say it is just in terms of the society aspect and an individual. It has to be a touch of both, because that person also owns the influence from a very powerful mass media as well. So we have to take that into consideration, that person also has a level of pull and responsibility that they have thrown through the window.
Fantastic. Listen to George Davis, and I'm going to ask you a couple questions on it.
This administration has done well. No need to single out any individuals. There have been strong performers across various areas. And the Prime Minister has been prime ministerial. I want vex, I don't understand. I don't like them comments here and still watch it. If me was I couldn't watch this. Because I'm talking something that some of you don't want to acknowledge. The good thing is that you don't have to acknowledge it for it to have legitimacy. So hold that. Put it on a pipe and smoke it. The Prime Minister, since being sworn in after February 25, 2016, has been prime ministerial, has been a leader that you can look to as an example, an intellectual example, a man of good character, and a man who you go abroad and you're proud to say, that is my Prime Minister.
Harry, I never have you here on Friday. This piece of tape is causing quite a stir in Jamaica. Many are saying that George ought to have, not been so explicit in his endorsement of wholeness. What is your view?
Well, for one, Neighbour, I don't see why people are trying to judge one man's perspective of a well-researched individual, right? And I say that because it would have been on the basis as to one, the characteristics of that individual he speaks of, which is the Prime Minister. Two, the works that has been done, which are the actions carried out by him and his leadership. And three, the global recognition and acceptance of said individual is all three things that he would have spoken about. And he embodies what George would have called prime ministerial. Because, Neighbour, the truth is, to be prime ministerial, it really refers to you embodying leadership qualities, right? In your demeanor and conduct, which we've seen, both locally, regionally, and on the international stage, right? It is also expected of a head of government. So, if that is the meaning of it, and this individual, which is Dr. Andrew Holness, embodies it, why cannot an individual, a journalist at that, point out to the people of Jamaica so they can understand the type of leadership that they currently have, the type of leader that is accepted regionally because he's head of CARICOM, and internationally that the world welcomes, embodies, and embraces. Because this is the duty of a journalist as well, right? This is not just George's perspective only, right? It is a man speaking facts. It is a man putting out the truth. Regardless if it was George or whosoever, that is factual. That is the true reflection as to what we're seeing. Now, what he's doing is what all journalists should be doing on any matter. Give you the facts, point in the direction of the truth, and leave you up to now forming your own perspective on that topic or that individual which is being spoken of. So regardless of who the medium is and what the channel is, those are the facts. The Prime Minister is prime ministerial right now. He embodies everything that we've never seen in the last 30 years. And that is true. It doesn't matter how you want to feel about it. It doesn't matter what additional words you want to use. The fact remains is that this
and there is no issue that a journalist highlights this. That's not personal.
No personal word. Because the truth behind it, Neighbour, is that Andrew idealized and has the persona of this authority with competence. It is not surprising that we hear the World Bank saying, we're forward thinking. How did we become forward thinking? It started from the helm, started from the man at the top coming down with his administration. And that is an embodiment of beyond just competence. It is national stewardship. That is where it started. This is a man who loves Jamaica and wants to see best for Jamaica, right? And as such, he's doing what is required. When he's being thrown under the bus, he's being attacked politically and personally, still a calm individual, still holds to the strategic vision of Jamaicans, and have the ability to command confidence in his own team. But these are the things that a person embodies and can be described as prime ministerial. We can look back at every other prime minister, even the premier, right? Just before independence and after independence, and you will not get any other prime minister that embodies every single thing in one body as Mr. Andrew Holness. And that speaks volumes. You've had persons who have the charisma, those who had the strategic visionaries like Edward Siaga and so on, but you've never had it all in one. But when you're doing maths, right, and we're doing sets, you have the 2-3 circles, and the section that intersects, that is common to all 3 circles. That is where you put an Andrew Holness in Jamaica's leadership. Others would be on other areas, right? And that is what it is. You cannot argue against the facts. You can feel what you want to feel, but it won't change.
Hold on there for me. Go ahead, Comas.
Man, and good evening, Mr. Harry. Bless up, man. I love listening when you speak. I feel your facts and you put it in the right context. I agree with everything we just said a while ago. You know what is a shame in Jamaica? Just as true is one media house really having good journalism. You see me? That is the problem. Because I'm used to the spin and the biasness. As Harry said earlier on, when it comes to the political landscape in Jamaica, it's very unfair and not balanced. You see me? They talk about them more with the Jamaica Labour Party, they're more critical and whatever. They do that out of excuse. You see me? Then do the PNP get with everything and the spin or whatever, because they feel them the populist party. And they get with everything, and everybody's supposed to be PNP, because they're the populist party. Because you have people just join the PNP just through popularity. They don't know nothing about PNP party overall. You see me? That is it. The journalists, what nationwide is doing is the right journalists. We can tell that tomorrow morning, if the Prime Minister do anything wrong, Cliff Hughes and all who are nationwide is coming out and come talk it. They are doing their job, no spinning. But true Jamaica don't get used to that. And we are carried that that's how we are carried go right now. I see that the landscape thing with the biasness and the one sideness we take time to change. As we said earlier on Neighbour, things are gonna take time, got to change, they're gonna take a little time. The landscape with the PNP-ism that take time cut out. You see me? That is a problem in Jamaica. The tribalism and the cultism with the PMP. You see me? And then a judge come talk something like this, so they feel offended. And it's his job to do that. Is good journalism. That's what I tell you. That is, and that's what most Jamaican people don't use to that. I don't want to get too used to that. So then going down when they know like this is not the man's opinion. This is facts out there. As what Harry said a while ago. Facts. This is not no his personal opinion. Prime Ministeristic, what is going on right now. This is fact. The whole world see it and admire it. If you are first while, if you are good while, Jamaica they're on top. Not by music, Bob Marley, or both with sports. As a politician, as a prime minister, as a government, is very popular across the world right now. You see me? So I'm just endorse Harry, everything Harry just said a while ago. Bless it.
Harry? Yeah, Harry, the opposition this week virtually came out and supported the government's position on Cuba, but there's something distinguishing there because the opposition ideologically is asking for more. How do you think the government should navigate this difficult diplomatic space at this time? Do you think the government should stay with their position, or do you think they need to say anything more?
Well, Neighbour, this is a geopolitical arena the world has never seen before, right? With the rise in globalization, where economies and markets interlock and interdepend, especially us in the Western area, right? Of course, technically, we know when America, sneeze, we catch a cold because of the relationship we have. And Cuba is within the Caribbean region. when I looked at the statement, I don't see anything wrong with it. I see a moral stance. I see holding on to the historical relationship that we fostered with with Cuba and other Caribbean countries. So it is not a new stance where we are with our Caribbean brothers and sisters. Now, for you to go out and add anything more to be deemed a lot more aggressive or forthcoming, it is you putting not political jeopardy, but putting your country at the mercies of a world power. And I say that to say this because you have to now ride the wave when you're when you're in this level of tight geopolitics, right? You don't necessarily want to offend anybody, but you also don't want to be seen as quote unquote a coward. You can make your stance, be seen and heard without offense, without being aggressive, and really and truly, you don't wield any true power on the global scale compared to what is happening, right? That is the stance in terms of Jamaica. And as such, you have to tread very carefully. And why I speak specifically that it is a different geopolitical arena, I think the People's National Party has been caught far too long. And I've seen they've done this last year twice, where they think this is in the 70s where Jamaica could have said every and anything, and there was no true repercussions. We are far beyond that economical stance and that political arena, right? We can't do what we did back then because we don't have the pull. We also don't have the prowess. And we are also dealing with a very unique set of leaders who wields serious power globally. And as such, you have to not necessarily walk on eggshells, but tread carefully, be diplomatic, be neutral where you should be neutral, and give a helping hand where you ought to, right? Because at the end of the day, neighbor, when you're on a plane, and this is going to sound harsh, but it's the truth, when you're on a plane and anything happens, they tell you to secure yourself first before trying to secure anybody else. And that is where I leave that statement, neighbor.
Protecting Jamaica. Good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, panelists. Good night.
Same question. Same question. PNP Labour Party agreed on the Prime Minister's stance on on Cuba. PNP, though have a different ideological framing, they are more aligned to that regime. How does the government navigate this? Do you think we remain with what we have said, or do we say more?
Let me paint a picture for you, neighbor listeners. Our Prime Minister is the best leader the world has right now. We don't see no other leader throughout the world. We narrow it down to the region. But if you really look into it, he's the best leader in the world right now. Our Prime Minister doesn't speak unless he has to speak. Our Prime Minister doesn't speak unless he has to speak. Our Prime Minister, when he speaks on an issue, he would have spent the time to do his research, analyze the issue, and he comes with positions that make sense.
Yes.
Now, let me continue. The People's National Party has no choice in a neighbor.
Yes.
Than to just agree with the position established, because the position is established by our Prime Minister is in support of the people of Cuba.
Yes.
The PNP all along has said that they are in support of the people of Cuba. So politically, they would look stupid and dunce, which we know they are, if they were to now say, okay, we don't agree with you, when finally the position put forward by the Prime Minister is now a public kind of announcement that that's the position of this JLP government.
Yes, and it has been widely commended. Widely commended.
And it's right, and it is widely commended. So they would look stupid to not agree. But let us look at it a little wider, neighbor listeners. Had Michael Manley taken this middle position in the 70s, while the rest of the world was rearranging, there's nothing new happening here in a neighbor.
Yes.
Nothing new now happening, you know. This had happened before. It's just that it was never this openly vicious, but it was vicious undercover before. The world rearranged itself already, realigned itself already in the 60s and 70s, and there was one leader at the time who was Prime Minister of Jamaica who didn't stop to consider that after this realignment and rearrangement, the world was going to move forward into the third industrial revolution with full speed. And the third industrial revolution was already upon the world, and there are countries like even America who was doing very little to catch up on it. And so the realignment and the rearrangement that happened 60s, 70s was to full throttle go into the third industrial revolution to make sure that they made something of it before that period passed. And yes, what was Michael Manley doing? Gazing upon foolishness, gazing upon personal ideology of what he thinks he and his friends should talk about, and who they should hate and who they should have as friends. And what did what happened to Jamaica? Jamaica, we face a consequence.
Well, you hold on. You have now mentioned the word consequences, which is what many people got a little uncomfortable with. When, as a matter of fact, I heard something on. Give me 2 seconds there, Pratik. Let me pull up something for you and get you to comment on this in a minute or so, because there was a little bit of as a matter of fact, continue the whole matter of the consequences idea coming out of the congressman in the United States. What do you make of that?
I'm heading there.
Yes, go ahead.
But I want the listeners to understand that when you gaze on nonsense, it's as if you're majoring in minor, which Michael Manley did. He didn't sit down and realize that this rearrangement and this reforming of the global markets and economies was because these countries now wanted to benefit and to scale up production so that their citizens can be better. He was majoring on the minor. And the consequences that Jamaica faced were economic consequences, because he did not sought to study the landscape and to make Jamaica lag on the forwardness that the world was taking at the time. Now, in the middle of that, come down to the 80s. What this congressman alluded to in a neighbor, it's just that because he might be a bully like his leader, why him say it the way him say it. Because
I'm gonna ask you just to hold on. I want my listeners to listen to something, because it's part of the misinformation that I think we need to counter. I want you to comment on this when I'm through. Give me a second. Hold on there, Harry. No more. Listen to this. Listen to this.
Go take up in little self and talk about he's standing with Cuba. America say no country no fee and nothing with Cuba or else. But Andrew Holness gone publicly, gone talk like him a the big bad wolf, like he want to take on Donald Trump and take on America. And America say Jamaica is going to feel the consequences of it. Can't you go talk so far? Poor us. Poor Jamaica. Oh, we have to start fret. We better start fret. Oh God. Oh God. I'm gonna show them. Show no one go on.
Well, that's almost viral. It's a bit of absurdity. But the reason why I played I'm protecting is that these are the types of commentary, satire maybe, nonsensical maybe for fun, but if you see the amount of views that has gotten, a lot of Jamaicans are not understanding what is happening here. Clear it up for me.
Neighbor, it is because of you why I listen to that nonsense.
Well,
you understand me? Me not waste time listen to idiots. That's the
but that's not the point. That's not the point, though. The point is there are thousands of Jamaicans who are listening to this and are feeling that this is
This man produces content. He's the same man who said that he brought out Miss Kitty and she named the one whole restaurant and he left her.
Leave that alone. Yes.
No, but me just assure you. So because he's a comedian, he has a lot of views. He have viewers, he have followership, he have following. No, once he posts any content, they are expecting it to be stupid and idiots. So people are going to view. Once you click on something and view it, you count it, It don't mean that the people was viewing. Because once you post something, people are interested in Neighbour or Neighbour's notes. They're going to be clicking onto Neighbour's content. It don't mean say them are going to agree with everything when Neighbour say. But them know say Neighbour come with something interesting, then why hear.
Yeah, but in an environment I'm protecting where disinformation, misinformation spread faster than truth. I'm asking
we cannot take him seriously because guess what?
Oh.
Himself, I heard in discussions with comrades before when Andrew wasn't saying anything in support of Cuba, saying why the Prime Minister now say something about Cuba. So the point is in a Neighbour. This whole thing, these people just producing content, We are the only ones on the side that we are on. I mean, I talk about those who support the JLP and those who support what the government is doing to advance Jamaica. Because not everybody support the JLP, but people support what the government is doing to advance Jamaica too. We're the only ones who have conversations that make sense. Conversations with purpose, merit, with sense. Okay? Now, this is going to be the sentiment of a few. A matter of fact, I have heard the same comrades them who say Andrew wicked, look how Cuba helped Jamaica. Andrew no say nothing all this time. Look how much years. Until lie say Cuba beg we heil.
To be fair, I hear some of them supporting him though. I have more.
They're doing that right, so they're doing that now. But I'm saying before, I'm talking about what they were saying before when this lie came out about oil tanker, Cuba want gas, and Jamaica said no. And when the truth was revealed that we do not
fact that in 2020.
Sorry about that.
We do not export gas. We don't export gas or oil. We have the refinery for refine for we own. We don't export it. So it's a lie. So these are the same people coming around now. Again, as I tell you, now that their argument has been out there that Andrew never does support Cuba, now that Andrew make a talk supporting Cuba, they really cannot get away from it. So your enemy have to join you because they cannot wrestle you down to the ground anymore. So this argument, will float. But discussions like these that we're having will counter the narrative. The risk and the danger, Neighbour, is when one side of a story is out there. When there are many sides for people to consider, people will always come on the side of the story that makes sense. And that is what is happening here. So, leading up to what I was saying about Mr. Jimenez, what Mr. Jimenez referred to is of merit in a Neighbour, because there are a lot of people who did not know that finally, when Michael Manley realize, because it is a strategy for the PMP since Michael Manley days in the 70s and the 80s, where they try to get their sister parties and their friends of other countries to undermine the JLP when they are in power. They use the Democratic Party to do that to Bruce in 2000 in his term.
Yes.
And it is something they have always used. So guess what? Michael Manley used Cuba to undermine Siaga in the 80s. So Mr. Jimenez, maybe he was just too emotional, or him never eat, so gas fly up in his head. But he just said it wrong. But if he really wanted to make sense to anybody, he could have made the point. We could be having the discussion now, and the discussion would make sense. Because guess what? All he was raising was, why does it sound like Jamaica is in support of the people of Cuba, when the same Cuba and whoever is in leadership in Cuba now was a part of Castro's government that sought to undermine in the 80s when Eddie Siaga was prime minister. So I do not like the last part of his tweet about facing consequences, but it has no weight. Because as we saw a few days later, the Secretary of State came to the heads of government meeting and gave them some assurances in the private meeting, so much so that the chair and the heads of government in their press conference to the media made it very clear that they will be sending aid to Cuba. So Mr. Gemini's argument now have no merit, no weight, because the representative of the executive of the United States government met with CARICOM, and they have agreed that CARICOM will be sending aid. So all in all, by and large, the public occurrences are just of the back channel discussions that has been happening. Andrew Wallace and a fool. Discussions are ongoing, and that's why Jamaica is that confident to take the positions that Jamaica takes, leading by the Prime Minister and the Minister of Foreign Affairs. And we have to understand that.
Okay, now, so the position of the government is been endorsed by the opposition. That matter, I think, rests right there. But it is one of the first. You know, you are suggesting that they have no choice but to endorse what the government has put out, eh?
None whatsoever.
Well, neighbor, to be fair and to be frank, right? This is the third geopolitical issue that has come up in the last, I'd say about the last year, maybe 9 months. And the first two, the opposition came out very strong, right? Which went sour for them. They did so on the Israel and Palestine stance that Jamaica took. They also did in terms of the piece that former Prime Minister Bruce Golding spoke about in terms of Donald Trump, right? That one in which the People's National Party spoke on was anonymous. We just knew it came from the People's National Party. We don't know who wrote it, whose stance it was, and the opposition didn't come out and clarify. But it was signed as from the People's National Party. So seeing that they're down 2-0 neighbor, getting it wrong as always, it was only a matter of time they may have came to their senses on the geopolitical matter. And this time they did.
Okay. You can take this first, Harry, and then to you, protect it. Mr. Of course, we're reviewing some of the things we did here last week. A gentleman came here last week, I'm forgetting his name, and suggested that the PNP has used a strategy of allegations of corruption against the government since the 60s, and that that is precisely why the Prime Minister's statutory declarations may be delayed. Did you hear him, Harry?
No, I wasn't on. I didn't get a chance to hear that one, neighbor.
Okay, all right. Hold on then. I'm protecting. Hello?
Yes, neighbor, I'm here.
Protecting Jamaica. Allegations of corruption. A strategy used by the PNP against the Labour Party. Is that so?
All the time. Yes, since the 60s. And but again, that's the reason why, if you remember, since we have been having discussions, my most passionate plea is for the JLP to rise to the occasion as it relates to communicating that kind of thing away. Because you see, if you're noticing a neighbor, every advance the JLP makes.
You're breaking up though. You're breaking up though, my brother. Breaking up.
Yeah, I'm in a little bit. Yeah.
All right. Take a half a minute and come on. Dorland Francis, his name is Dorland Francis.
You hearing me now, neighbor?
I yes, come in. Hello.
Right. So, me gone again.
No man, you're